poster, to make the envelopes, to have it printed, to submit it. So, here are the jokes. Did you ever try to explain counterclockwise to somebody who wears a digital watch? And did you ever notice how peculiar the English language is? We drive on a parkway and we park on a driveway. And why is living in California like eating a bowl of granola? After you get done with the nuts and fruits, there's plenty of flakes left. This is a Chat with Glendora. God bless you. Welcome everybody to a Chat with Glendora, and this is the Long Island edition. And did you hear, if it's such a small world, how come the cost of airfare keeps increasing? Did you hear about the Czechoslovakian trampoline team? They are called the Bouncing. And a neurotic is somebody who builds castles in the air. A psychotic is somebody who collects rent from those castles. And a psychiatrist is somebody who collects from both of them. Now, there was a sign in the restaurant window that said blended coffee, and the customer said to the waitress, "What's it a blend of?" And the waitress said, "It's a blend of yesterdays and todays." Hey folks, not a great deal happened on Glendora versus Dolan and Tata and Quinn and Cablevision Systems Corporation. The show last Friday night on, that would be October the 6th, Friday night, generated 17 telephone calls. 17 people called up. This is one of the best ones. This is from Dana Murphy at 2709 Orchard Street, Belmore, New York. And she called at 9:38 a.m. Sunday morning, just as I was dressing up for church. And she asked for a happy book. And so I took down all the information. And then I said, "Are you Dana?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "I'm Glendora." And she said, "Oh, Glendora, I adore you." She says, "I get goosebumps talking to you. It's such a pleasure to meet you." And I said, "Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you." And I said, "What do you like about the program?" And she says, "I like the honesty and the directness, and nothing can scare you away from what is right." And she says, "I love your hats." She says she's hoping that we can meet in person, and her happy book went out. Some of the other people who asked for happy books were, that's in Adam Starner in Pound Ridge, and Ken Walensky in Mineola, and Dr. Robert Callagy, somebody called for him in Williston Park, and Patricia McDonough, somebody called for her in Old Bethpage, and Kenneth Roberts in North Barrett, New York. That's not the Nassau County. Yes, it is, because it's 11566. That's the Nassau County zip code. Huh. And then somebody named Andre asked me to call him at the TV studio. That's at 516-233-3431. John Fazio, nope, that's a Westchester edition one, Mamaroneck. David Fiola, no, that's Westchester 2, New Rochelle. Short Hill Road, Ardsley, that's Mrs. Maggio, nope, that's Westchester edition. There were 31 telephone calls on my telephone answering machine. And Brian Graceman wants a happy book. He's my amicus curiae, Brian Graceman, Esquire, a brilliant young lad. Along with Robert T. Perry, my other amicus curiae on Glendora versus Cablevision. Now, we're up to file 31 on Cablevision. The log didn't go out Monday because I was 5 days doing another big legal paper that was this thick. And so this log is yet to go out. Yesterday, October the 11th, today is Columbus Day, October the 12th. Did I ever tell you about Columbus? He set sail from Spain in search of the, he set sail from Spain in search of the Indies. He landed in the Bahamas. He called it America. If he'd been living today, he'd be working for the United States Post Office. And the October the 11th, yesterday, Wednesday, was the day set by Robert Callagy and Allison Strickland, Julia Allison Strickland, to come to do discovery on me documents. And they made all these demands, and I cut through the formality, and I said, come ahead, I'll show you anything. I'm an open book, you can see anything. And so we will not take those things, the videotapes and the audio tapes, to Manhattan, to their office, 230 Park Avenue, which is the same office as Chief Judge Judith Kay is. We will not take them to Manhattan. I'm 67, turn that around, Franklin's 76. Furthermore, the tapes and the records, there's only one copy, and we will not endanger them by taking them out of our office. So I told him, you come here on October the 11th at the appointed time, and I will show you everything. So on Tuesday, I called up and left a message on Callagy's recorder and said that we were all set for them to come here on the 11th and have their discovery. And Allison Strickland called back and said that they weren't coming. Now, the reason that she has no reason, except of course they're lying and they're covering up. Cablevision defendants don't want to talk because they've done wrong, they're scared stiff, and they don't dare say anything. So I sent back a message on Callagy's telephone recorder on Wednesday morning, and I videotaped that, and it was played on a Westchester edition program. It didn't get on your program. So I will have to tell you what that message said. Glendora, that's a feeble excuse to fail to do the discovery October the 11th. The law doesn't say where the discovery is to be done. The law says nowhere where the discovery is to be done. And the judge doesn't care where the discovery is done. Because Strickland copped out with, well, we reserve our right to have the discovery done where it should be done and as the judge would want it done. Well, two answers, okay? The law doesn't say anything about where discovery should be done. And the law doesn't, and Judge Bryant really doesn't care. And this is your worst simpering, whimpering act as a fugitive of discovery yet. I've been watching Judge Bryant a lot lately, how he handles fugitives like you, Callagy, Dolan, Tata, Quinn, et al. You'd better come prepared. In fact, you better get yourselves a couple of amici curiae. You're in for it. He told one lawyer, I don't want to make a hole in this new ceiling. He's referring to the new $33 million federal courthouse here in White Plains. He told another lawyer, your law firm is great for that, no jurisdiction, improper service. You got to cut that out. And the woman lawyer said, I'll tell him, meaning the head of the firm. And Judge Bryant says, will you tell him? And the woman says, yes, I'll tell him. Glendora has watched Judge Bryant pulverize about 10 discovery conferences since he came back, September 1st, 1995, Friday. Gets very, very firm when people start running away from discovery. In other words, from running away from the truth. He gets very, very firm. So what is this? Well, Judge Bryant told me that after the United States Court of Appeals let me withdraw my appeal of 2 parts of Judge Bryant's decision, that I could renew my motions. Hello, Kate! That I could renew my motions to for sanctions on Dolan and Quinn and Tata et al. And that, oh, what a nice kitty. And so I'm doing that. Here it is, it started, it's all outlined. Here are the motions I'm renewing. They were during August of 1995. And I'm adding a new one that, according to Rule 45 of the local rules, United States District Court, Southern District of New York. I'm adding a new one, and that's to convict them of contempt, civil contempt. That's a very serious thing, contempt. You can end up in jail. You can end up paying a very big fine. So I'm going to ask him to order contempt against Dolan, Tata, Quinn. Anything about this situation. You know, the way to do it is say, who's this Glendora? Did they take their program off TV? Why did they take it off? Just try to find out. Because these people will not complain. They've lied for 1 year and 10 months. And so we have to find out what they did and why they did it. Until such time as they get sanctioned for not revealing the truth, or we can get a summary judgment against them, you know, for ignoring the whole court process. In other words, for being crooked. So if you know anybody who told Cablevision to take the program off TV, try to find out and let us know. Nassau County and in Suffolk County, that if you're having a problem with a lawyer, call the Americans for Legal Reform. That'd be Harvey Cass and Carl Ancesera, and the number should be up on the screen. I would like to tell you people, if you're having any problem with judges, crooked judges, I'd like to have you call the Center for Judicial Accountability. That number should be on the screen. That's a Westchester number, 914. And I don't think of any more announcements. You remember, of course, that A Chat with Glendora is a public forum, is the cable TV public access is a public forum. And if you have any announcements that you would like to make to the public, please get in touch with me. It's here of playing for you my interview with Charles Dolan when we were friends back in 1987. Or I have the choice of playing for you my appearance on the David Letterman show in 1987. So if there's time, we will play some of those for you. My peace I give unto you, let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. John 14:27. Goodbye now, God bless you, you bless God. And this is A Chat with Glendora. Keep your courage flaming, stand up for right. People will try to take away your rights in every way they can. Well, boys and girls, it's a great privilege tonight to bring to you Mr. Charles Dolan. And he's one of the pioneers of cable. Charles, just tell us, first of all, where were you born?
Cleveland, Ohio.
You were, really?
Right.
I didn't know that you were born in the Midwest. And then you grew up where? There?
In Cleveland, stayed in Cleveland until 1952.
52?
Right, then moved to New York.
And moved to New York.
Right.
And where'd you go to school, Charles?
In Cleveland at Cleveland Heights High School and John Carroll University.
Did you really?
Right.
Bob Hope comes from Cleveland.
Yeah, yes, he does. I know that. He was born in London, but the family is from Cleveland, right?
For sure. And after that, what was your first job out of school?
I was given a job on one of the local newspapers, the Cleveland Press.
Oh, you were?
Right.
Yeah.
I was paid $2 a week to write a column about the activities of the Boy Scouts. Right.
Well, that's all right. That's a good way to start out. And then your next job?
Then I worked for a radio station in Cleveland.
And doing what?
Also writing commercials and producing programs.
Yeah,
right.
that was fun.
It was indeed. I enjoyed it.
Was this right out of high school? Or?
Well, actually, while I was going to high school.
While you were going to high school?
Right, I'd go to... school in the morning and then take the bus downtown to the radio station.
Well, I think that's terrific. It was an early start. And then what did you do after that next job?
Well, we started a little newsreel about sports. This is when television itself was beginning in 1950.
That's right.
And we sold that to television stations around the country. But we didn't do it too well, I guess, because we ran out of money. But then I was offered employment by one of the companies with which we were competing, and that was Telenews here in New York.
For heaven's sakes.
So then, by that time, I was married, and so my wife Helen and I moved to New York.
And to work for Telenews.
To work for Telenews.
And what did you do for them?
We produced another sports newsreel, and I would write the scripts for it and put the sports reel together. And that sort of introduced me to the whole area of film syndication, and then we left Telenews and started our own company.
You and your wife?
Well, just me, but Helen always helped.
Good for you, Helen. Now, you see, Telenews knew that you were going to be terrible competition to you, for them, and that's why they grabbed you up, so you wouldn't be competition.
Well, you're nice to say that. I was very happy to be grabbed up.
At that point, because of the finances. Right. Now, then tell us more about this new enterprise.
The Cablevision, or the one we were starting.
No, after the, remember you were with the Telenews and you left Telenews?
Right. Then we started distributing films for other people, distributing them to television stations, and we began to put together a library of films which the early television stations were very anxious to have, because there wasn't much material then.
No, they didn't. Some of them didn't even have networks.
But we became then very fascinated with the idea of television itself, and then we were beginning to hear that you could not only broadcast television, but you could put it through a wire. So we became interested in connecting all of the hotels in New York together with a piece of wire, and sending television programming to the hotels. So in 1960 we started a service in New York which told people in their hotel rooms what was happening in New York.
Really?
And that was a service called Teleguide. And it was actually a directory for visitors to New York, an introduction to New York. And we did that for a number of years up until the World's Fair. And then we thought, well, we could do more with that wire than just service the hotels. And that caused us to consider cable television, and we applied for a franchise, and we began what is today Manhattan Cable Television.
You did?
Right.
First of all, just a second, Charles, the name of that company that when you had the wire going to all the hotels, what was the name of that company?
Teleguide.
Oh, that was called Teleguide.
Right. Teleguide on Channel 6. On
Channel 6, and
right.
People go into there? That must have been a great experience for them.
Well, it was. Again, it wasn't as economic as we would have liked it to have been, but what it did teach us was how to serve the buildings of New York with cable television.
With cable TV.
Right. It gave us a great deal of early experience, and that made it possible for us to organize Manhattan Cable Television.
That was its value, as you say,
right.
Yes. And so then you started this cable company, got the franchise, and this was the beginning of Manhattan Cable TV.
That's correct.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was a great experience, a lot of work, a lot of anguish, but we loved it.
And then what was next?
Well, we then started putting programs on Manhattan Cable. We made arrangements to put the Nixon Rangers on, and then we started motion pictures, and then we organized a network to provide these same programs to other cable systems. And that was the beginning of home box office.
It was?
Right.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
And that started in 1972.
1972.
Right.
And what a job to try to wire Manhattan.
Yes, it was.
For cable.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult then because we didn't then have the excellent equipment that cable television has today. So it was much more difficult to build the system than it is today to build a cable system in an urban area.
This is also interesting. So what came after that?
Well, we've finally sold Manhattan Cable and home box office to Time Incorporated, And then we went out to the suburbs of New York and began another cable service called Cablevision.
That's your Cablevision,
Which is, and we're still doing that. Right.
Now, what locale was that?
Well, Long Island, and then we expanded it to Connecticut, to parts of Westchester, New Jersey. We're now in Boston, Cleveland, Toledo, Kalamazoo, Chicago.
Haven't you done well? You have a huge number of subscribers. What is it?
Well, we by the end of the year, with all of the new arrangements completed, we'll have 1 million subscribers.
Wow. Now, these towns in Long Island, Mr. Dolan, the names of the towns?
Well, we serve all of Nassau County.
Oh, the whole county?
Right. And the westernmost part of Suffolk County, and East Hampton and Montauk.
Wow. And then the ones in Connecticut, I think I remember some of those, Westport.
Well, we service the area, all of Fairfield County, the area from the New York State border out past Bridgeport, from Greenwich out through Bridgeport.
From Greenwich all the way out to Bridgeport,
right.
And how far north? Well, of course, Fairfield County goes way up. It goes up to New Milford and all those places.
Right. Many other cable companies, of course, serve in Connecticut, and we join them.
You know, Mr. Dolan is a friend of Mr. Bresnan. You remember when Mr. Bresnan came to see you? And Mr. Bresnan started out early in cable.
Oh, Bill Bresnan is a pioneer in cable television. He was associated with the early teleprompter company. Teleprompter built the other part of Manhattan, and it was one of the early, very large, very important companies in cable.
My goodness, you've known each other a long time.
We have.
I think that year you mentioned was what was it, 1960? When you started around building up the Manhattan cable TV system?
That was that started in 1961.
61,
right.
Yes, right. And now Mr. Dolan's company, Cablevision, has just bought the cable system in, name me those towns in Westchester, because the boys and girls live there.
Dutchess County, Portchester.
Harrison.
Harrison, I believe, yes.
Yep.
We are now, we operate a system in the city of Yonkers in Westchester.
Oh, you do?
Right.
Oh, that's right. You have Cablevision of Yonkers.
Right.
Yes, you do. And what else in Westchester? Anything else?
No, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, well, that's a plenty. Now, this is Mr. Charles Dolan, and he's the founder of Cablevision, along with a whole lot of other things. And when he comes back, boys and girls, he's going to tell you what his work consists like, to see if you'd like a cable career, and then he's going to give you some advice on how to get started in cable television. And this is a chat with Glendora. Mr. Dolan, could you give us an idea of the flavor and excitement of your work?
Well, there's a lot of excitement. There's so much involved in cable television. One, you are putting together programs that you believe that people who are your subscribers will want to see. So we have organized sports programming. We telecast all of the games of the Islanders, and we do the Yankees and the Mets and the Devils and the Nets and so forth. And we enjoy putting those programs together, doing those telecasts. And we have another service called Bravo, which is the performing arts and international film, and still another American movie classics, which are the great films of all time. So we have that programming aspect. We produce our own news programs. We do programs that tell people about all of the channels that we have, etc. So there is the idea of programming, which is a very important part of cable television, and then there is the marketing side of it, which is presenting all of that to potential subscribers and persuading them to become subscribers. And that involves direct sales, direct mail marketing, telephoning, etc. It is a different kind of marketing experience, and many of the people who are with us really enjoy that more than anything else and spend their careers doing that.
Do they? Mm-hmm.
And then the financial side, cable television involves the expenditure of large sums of money. So that we need people who can relate to banks and investors, and understanding the television is by itself a specialty, and communicating those that understanding to others. And then we have the technical side of cable, the how to build a cable system, to maintain it, to operate it, how to improve it, providing greater channel capacity, putting facilities into the subscriber's home that enable them to respond to us and to order films on a pay-per-view basis. And the other important improvements that we're anticipating in cable, it is a great experience for people who are technically oriented and who like communications. So cable is one industry, but it is multifaceted.
Yes.
And there are all kinds of different, very different career opportunities under the umbrella of cable.
Well, I think that's fascinating, and you love every minute of it, don't you?
I do. We find it very challenging sometimes, but
Yes.
I can't imagine a business or an activity I would rather be involved in.
Oh, that's good to hear. And I don't think that you and I made it clear. You own Sports Channel.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, Sports Channel, Bravo, and what was the third one?
Sports Channel, Bravo, American Movie Classics, News 12. These are all program services that are offered via cable.
Yes.
And we provide those to other cable systems, and our cable system carries programs that are created by other cable systems.
Well, Charles Dolan, that's a thrill to me to hear all that. Now, will you tell the boys and girls a good way to get started in cable TV as it is today?
Well, I think the best way to become involved in cable is to recognize what you're enthusiastic about, what skills you have, and to develop those, regardless of what they might be, and then to examine the cable industry and find out how you can relate to the cable industry through those particular skills, and then talk to people in cable about what you do and what you do well and what you want to do in the future. I think that is the most effective way to come to cable, because the industry now needs people with skills and ambition and people who are genuinely interested in careers in cable and the future of our industry.
Oh, I think the people in cable TV would be pretty responsive to the youth, don't you?
Well, the industry is growing. We're employing more and more people. I think the future for cable is very bright, and again, anybody interested in cable should recognize the very strong divisions of interest within cable, and they should single one of those out and come to cable with the idea of being involved in a specific part of cable. That will make that person more interesting to their prospective employer in cable.
Is there anything else that you want to tell the youth, Mr. Dolan?
Just like to encourage everybody.
For breaking a state law and a federal law, and for violating freedom of speech and freedom of press. The next chapter, which will be Chapter 9, is coming up on the next program. Welcome, folks, to Chat with Glendora, program 1174 public access programs. They started back in 1973, 23 years of public access. Here's a joke for you. The formula for water. Right, H2O. For an ice cube, H2O squared. And can you answer this question? What do they call a coffee break at the Lipton Tea Company? And a philosopher person learning more and more about less and less until he knows everything about nothing. We are continuing the reports on the law-breaking of Amos B. Hofstadter Jr., Nancy Hawthorne, Jeffrey T. DeLorme, William T. Cablevision Incorporated, Greg Sanders, Douglas Guthrie, Diane Rainey, and Melissa Cooper. And this is Chapter 9. Now, out this week was this 300-page record to Judge Barrington D. Parker, the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, Magistrate Smith, Waltz II, their lawyer, to the clerk of the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, and 10 copies of this reduced to 11 copies. And this is Glendora's affidavit in opposition to defendant's phony claim of no jurisdiction, phony claim of improper service, phony request for order of protection, which Judge Parker has denied, phony claim of not exhausting administrative remedies, and at Magistrate Lee Smith. To use a sports expression, the ball is in your court. On October 6, 1995, Friday at 11 a.m., Judge Parker sent us to you. New York Executive Law, Article 28, Section 829, Executive Law, no cable television company may prohibit or limit or type of program presented over any channel made available for public access. And why should they prohibit and limit it? The program was on every week. They cut it every other week. Cablevision Corporation took Glendora's program off TV, and National Justice Len Silverman, Supreme Court of District County, in the same block as you, ruled plaintiff has a statutory right to have her program on TV and must be returned to TV. And it was. These minutes are by Rochelle to hear. With the court finds that the statute does mandate the defendants air per program. And here is the prediction statement of that into the reporters, the books of the cases that are reported from New York New York Miscellaneous, and so forth. For the aforesaid reasons, of her program material is granted. This is Judge. Action is otherwise. And here's a copy of that decision, which you know and familiar with since July 28, 1994. That's all the decision. And here's the press on it, the New York Law Journal, the New York Times. Oh, that wasn't the New York Times. This is Newsday. Gadfly, SWAT's Glendora fight. Law Journal. So, it is reviewed. Incorporated has Glendora on TV every week of every month. Glendora pleads that the court order defendants Hofstadter, Continental Cablevision Incorporated to return Glendora's next week, October 3 p.m. Channel 19 South. It is the law. Being irreparably harmed. A memorandum to you of October 7, 1995, today. Defendant's argument of exhausting administrative remedies is nonsense. Collateral stop. Did Judge Silverman say anything about adjudicated the case immediately. Did the United States Court of Appeals Circuit say anything about taking her complaint to the Federal Communications Commission? No. And here is the decision of the Second Circuit, United States Court of Appeals, and that goes on for several pages, and you know that because it's been read to you. 1955 this year. Did Judge taking complaint to the Communications Commission? No. And here's Judge Bryant's great decision of July 19th, 1995 this year. Just 2 months ago. Cablevision lost. Cablevision because they the same laws. This is all Judge Bryant's decision. And now, defendant's feeble argument that Glendora has to go to the New York State Cable TV Commission and to the FCC first is lost. This court has subject matter jurisdiction. Glendora prays you to return her program Saturday, October 14, 1995, 3 p.m. to make good the week of October 16, 1995. All the programs cable casting. September the 23rd, 95, and October 7th, 95. Prime time, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. or on Saturday or Sunday afternoon between 1 and 5 p.m. 19 South. Channel 19 North. Found 1860 on Channel 19 North on October Wednesday. This was done without Glendora's consent, and she does not want it to happen again. Crookedly, defendants are trying to dupe the court into thinking Glendora's program to the first and third Wednesdays of each month at 6 p.m. by this is totally unacceptable. There is a monstrous difference between Channel 19 South and 19 south of Ossining, like Tarrytown, Mount Kisco, and Bedford. This is no substitute for the 2 or 3 weeks a month Continental has prohibited and limited her programs on Channel 19 South. Rinky dink. Today, 1995 defendants repeated program number 1860 on Channel 19 at 3 p.m. That should be on Channel 19 North at 3 p.m. Let me make a note of it. This is outrageous and irreparable harm. No, that's right. They repeated the program on Channel 19. Cross that out. For 2 reasons. Reruns allowed. Glendora's programs capsulate the in for each Thursday and are current. Here, Glendora has a fresh Continental Cablevision edition 1867, videotaped and edited October 5th, 1995, Thursday. Number 1869 cannot wait until October the 21st. It will be too old. So number 1869 will have to be taken to, like me, to a different contents as the Continental subscribers are. Continental defendants are in violation of community. Well, there were 5 Saturdays in September. Your program was on September. It was a Saturday, so your program had to be on October 7th Saturday. However, they had said the reduction would mean the program would be on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays of would have got number 1869 to them. Being irreparably damaged court, enforce TRO, restraining order, and preliminary injunction this and have a program on every facts of this paragraph. October 6, 1995, Friday, 11 a.m. The stenographer's minutes are on the way. Will attest to this, as will Franklin. Lawyer Walsh does not declare that he is fully familiar with the facts by hearsay when it happened. Lawyer Walsh, too, does not declare Lawyer Walsh, too, includes no background, no facts. Defendant is a weak and ended as such. Now, defense stated has national significance. We go over with them again Glendora's opposition to their stated defenses, which was read to you on September the 20th, 3 weeks ago. How the service was impeccable. Yellow in the program. Here is a letter written on October last videotaping and editing date, so that didn't get into last week's program. Judge Parker, in his letter of September 28, 1995, lawyer II omits any mention of the laws the defendants broke. He does not mention the first come, first served rule access channels. His reference to leaving harassing messages for defendants on answering machines is not true, whereas proof at all hours of the day and evening is a gross exaggeration and suggests a sort of hysteria. Glendora opposes the letter of lies and believes it shows their guilt. They know they have done wrong. Running away, trying to get an order of protection, just the way Cablevision. Glendora is following the law in all her calls, confirming service at the October 6 meeting. Glendora wants them there. References in the September 28th letter to refusing to end and concern that the conversations are being taped for the purpose of airing are strange uneasiness in their opposition. You know what it means, refusing to end the conversation. Also aired is the program over the cable not aired. The lawyer's use of admits is not justified. Glendora doesn't she does, and Glendora doesn't like the lawyer. He is making all lies. Cablevision did. The term harassing behavior is incorrect by of what harass is. Basically, it is to persist in a pattern of annoyance and disturbance. The defendants have done a wrong, unlawful wrong. They have wronged the plaintiff. Knowledge of these telephone calls only through hearsay. Glendora has no reason to compel disclosure and also makes a slip in referring to his lawsuit. He speaks of disclosure to harass the defendants. This is a lie of nescience, or it is nescience. This is a lie of nescience. There is a reason for disclosure. What law is broken if the plaintiff asks for it? Concern indicates more guilt by the defendants and an accompanying desire. Glendora says the letter's reference to her is incorrect and self-serving on the part of the lawyer and defendants to detail when she ever said so many lawsuits. She mentioned one, Glendora versus Cablevision. Glendora's providing defendants with copies of court papers is inappropriate. Neither is unnecessary. Cablevision made the same motion to Judge Bryant. With every paper submitted for the defendants, the more indelible their record of guilt is. Asking for home addresses is a rule. Judge U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York rule. Glendora has made abundantly clear to defendants and lawyers that it is a rule, and Glendora has ex parte, as the rule says, motion, and again we have recorded announcement. That's all this lawyer Thomas Walsh says. There is no reason. There is no reason. Glendora does not have facts. She is in form of facts is not fair. Plaintiff should be notified. Civil Procedure Rule 5. Yours in truth, Glendora. The chat with Glendora. To Thomas E. Walsh, 2nd, Esquire. P.S. Addendum to the last paragraph of the Walsh letter. Glendora received 4. In this book you know all about, but this one, and it says that the issues as listed by Thomas says issues. It's a recorded announcement. It's demonstrated in her response to the defendant's so-called answer. The United States Court, Southern New York, is established on Glendora versus Cablevision Systems Corporation, who broke the same laws that did these defendants in the case. And with the United States Court of Appeals, 2nd Circuit, Glendora versus 1994, January 1995. If the United States District Court, Southern District, did not have wasteful posturing. Similarly, with these two courts and the United States Supreme Court, this time Glendora have to the New York State Cable TV Commission, to the FCC. Deceases, defendants and their lawyers should do some reading and see the law. These defendants and lawyers are doing all the things Cablevision coast to coast. As for pushing Glendora's dates, defendants' lawyers are fugitives. The court easy sucks from defendants. Defendants become the annuity. Defendants and lawyers start to abuse the discovery process. Willfulness is thwarting the discovery case is headed. Local Rule 3F says we cannot make any motions about discovery. So on every lawyer and communicated the message. It's the law, just as you have to try to settle with me. Local Rule 3F, United States District Court, Southern District. So are you interested in 914-949-5? Whatever you do, go to bed. And if Glendora, well, Thomas Walsh called Glendora after 5 p.m. The message on Glendora's answering yes or no, or even mention her question. October the 3rd, 1992, 9:53, called Walsh and told the secretary that he called her last night at 5 p.m. and did not answer the question. Amelia said she would ask him to call Glendora. That Glendora wanted to settle. Said she did not say that. Glendora asked him to answer yes or no. Yes, if the term. Thomas, thank you. Glendora, all right. When Thomas, I have to. It's worthwhile settling, getting together. Do you have what? So what you are saying is that. Thomas, it would be much more expeditious and productive if I had a and said, I don't have authority. Okay, Thomas, I need to have the idea of what you are proposing. Okay. Saying is that you want a letter from me. I don't need a letter. I know what you Okay, 11. Step, you took the second step. I'll take the third step. I'll get back to you later. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we've got something. Thomas, all right, thank you. Have a good day. Glendora, too. Bye. And here's a list of the people that called. What was said. They are complaint, and so I asked them to read that because it contains preliminary because all the time Perry's this well, it looks like, and what comes after that is the Perry brief to the about 4 of them like that, and the second circuit in the pretty blue section papers from before Judge Bryant. And so the 19th. This is Hofstadter, Continental Cablevision. From the clerk. Honorable Lisa Margaret Smith versus Hofstadter has been scheduled for conference before at 9:30 a.m. And is in reference Barrington B. Parker. Lisa Margaret for all purposes, United States Section 36. It's not about corporation. It's not about dispositive. It's not about contested damages. It's not about general pre-trial, including. Yeah, it is about that, but it isn't. General trial after case management conference held by the district judge is set. Discovery motion, other motion, discovery disputes, only settlement. And then she will write a report in 90 days. And that's chapter 9. And this is where I sit. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no. To write master the envelopes, to have it. So, here are the jokes. Try counterclockwise to somebody. And did you ever parkway, we park on a driveway. And he is living in California, eating a bowl of granola. After you get done with the fruit, this is chapter. pauperous. Bay